In the far north of Europe lives a people whose blood points somewhere it shouldn't. Not toward Scandinavia, toward Siberia, thousands of miles east. No one asked why. They were too busy trying to erase who these people were. Their drums were burned. Their language was banned. Their herds were placed under government control. And for decades, the people studying them were certain they already knew where the Sami came from. They didn't. Their homeland is called Sapmi. It stretches across the Arctic reaches of Norway, Sweden, and Finland into Russia's Kola Peninsula, a landscape that predates every one of those national borders by thousands of years. Somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 Sami live there today, though the real number is uncertain, and that uncertainty has a cause. Throughout the 20th century, governments across the region pursued deliberate assimilation. Children were sent to boarding schools and punished for using their own language. Reindeer herding, the foundation of Sami life, was tightly regulated. Many families learned to hide who they were rather than risk what admitting it might cost them. That pressure had a precedent. 2 centuries earlier, someone had already tried to erase the Sami, starting with the drums. In 1692, in the town of Vadsø in northern Norway, an elderly Noide named Anders Poulsen was put on trial, a Sami spiritual practitioner accused of witchcraft. His drum had been confiscated, and Danish-Norwegian authorities wanted to know what its symbols meant. Poulsen answered in detail, describing every figure on the drum's skin one by one, an act that preserved his testimony even though it could not save him. He never reached a verdict. A guard, later described as mentally unstable, killed him with an axe while he awaited sentencing. Historians remember him as one of the last victims of the Finnmark witch trials. His interrogation record survives today as one of the most complete descriptions of Sami cosmology ever written down, preserved by the very people who tried to destroy it. Poulsen wasn't an isolated case. Missionaries called Sami drums the Bible of the Sami, and treated them exactly the way you'd expect people to treat a rival scripture they wanted gone. A few decades after Poulsen's trial, the missionary Thomas von Westen alone confiscated close to 100 more, shipping them to Copenhagen to be studied, cataloged, and locked away. Most never made it back out. 70 of them burned in a single fire in 1728. Of every ceremonial drum the Sami people ever made, only around 70 are known to survive anywhere in the world today. Poulsen's was one of them. Violence wasn't the only thing that got the Sami story wrong. For a long time, even the science had a simple, tidy answer for who the Sami were. After the last ice age ended, roughly 11,000 years ago, the first people moved into the newly exposed land that would become Scandinavia. Small groups of hunter-gatherers, fishing, hunting seals, following reindeer across a landscape that offered no room for mistakes. Genetic traces from those earliest settlers still show up in Sami DNA today. Everyone assumed that was the whole story, a single population, isolated in the Arctic since the ice retreated, with nothing more to explain. It wasn't. And for decades, no one had the tools to prove it. The answer had been sitting in the ground the whole time. In 2018, a research team led by Thisias Lamnidis and Kertu Majander at the Max Planck Institute for the Science of Human History in Jena, together with the University of Helsinki, sequenced ancient genomes from 2 very different places and published what they found in Nature Communications. The first genomes came from Bolshoi Oleni Ostrov, a burial site on Russia's Kola Peninsula, radiocarbon dated to roughly 3,500 years ago. The second came from Levenluta in Finland, a lake burial from the Iron Age, roughly 1,500 years old. Neither site was where anyone expected the Sami story to lead. The Löwenluta individuals turned out to be genetically closer to today's Sami than to today's Finns, even though Löwenluta sits far south of anywhere Sami communities live now. People carrying Sami-like ancestry once occupied a much larger stretch of Finland than they do today. Over the centuries that followed, that range contracted steadily north, leaving its clearest trace in the Arctic, where the pressure of later migrations was weakest. And the Bolshoi-Oleni Ostrov genomes carried something else entirely: ancestry tracing back not to Scandinavia, but to Siberia, most closely linked today to the Nganasan, a small indigenous population living in the far north of the Siberian interior. The dating pointed to a real, datable migration, arriving roughly 3,500 to 4,000 years ago. Not a distant echo of shared ancestry from tens of thousands of years back. An actual movement of people headed west. Two populations, once separated by an ocean of tundra and taiga, had met in the far north. And the meeting is still written into Sami DNA today. Confirmation runs through the paternal line as well. A majority of Sami men carry the Y-chromosome haplogroup N1C, common across Uralic-speaking populations from Finland to Siberia, and largely absent from their Scandinavian neighbors. Two independent lines of evidence, maternal and paternal, pointing at the same migration. That explains where part of the bloodline comes from. It doesn't explain how a population that endured centuries of deliberate pressure to disappear still exists, distinct at all. There's a second kind of proof, one that has nothing to do with DNA at all. Sami belongs to the Uralic language family, related to Finnish and Hungarian, entirely unrelated to the Germanic languages spoken by every neighboring population. Despite centuries living beside Norwegians and Swedes, that linguistic boundary never dissolved. It's the same boundary the genetics draw, arrived at through a completely different kind of evidence, by people who were never comparing notes. And it's the exact boundary 20th century assimilation policy tried hardest to erase. Several Sami languages are now critically endangered, some down to a handful of fluent speakers. The direct, traceable result of generations punished for speaking them at all. It didn't disappear. Norway opened the first Sami parliament in 1989. Sweden followed in 1993. Finland in 1996, elected bodies giving Sami communities a political voice inside 3 different states at once. Joik is being taught to new generations and has found its way into contemporary music, the traditional style of singing that missionaries and schools once tried to stamp out entirely. You can hear it today in places it was never supposed to survive. In January 2022, Anders Poulsson's own drum was formally returned to the Sami people, to a museum in Karasjok, not far from where he stood trial, after 330 years in Denmark. Disputes over land rights and traditional reindeer herding are still unresolved, still being fought over, right now, in the same landscape where this all began. Every policy built to erase that history had one advantage genetics never needed to fight for: time. It didn't matter. Somewhere above the Arctic Circle, in a place 4 countries claim and none of them created, people are still speaking a language with no Germanic root, still following reindeer along paths mapped out before Rome existed, still singing songs someone once tried very hard to make sure no one would ever hear again. You can still hear them.